Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment's 32 teams, 32 days, and today we are talking about the Baltimore Ravens as a part of my 2017-18 season previews for this upcoming NFL season. Remember to head over to sportsfanentertainment.com to look at the article previewing the Ravens season written by an author that is not me. That way you'll have a different perspective on this Ravens season. We're going to talk about the Ravens, look at their strengths, weaknesses, give you a fantasy outlook, give you some bold predictions, and then give you my win-loss prediction for this football team. Let's start with this team's strengths. And it starts in the secondary. Let's start with their safeties, Tony Jefferson and Eric Weddle. They signed Tony Jefferson from the Arizona Cardinals this offseason, and this guy is going to make an impact. He was fantastic last year for the Arizona Cardinals, making plays all over the football field. When their defense had issues, he was likely not the reason why. That guy's a very good safety in the NFL. And they still have Eric Weddle, whom they signed from the San Diego Chargers at the time after the 2015 NFL season. And that guy was terrific in 2016 as he made a bunch of plays all over the football field as well. And he's going to continue to make an impact. He is getting older, but last year he did not look like he's slowing down, so I'm still buying into this guy. How about the cornerbacks? I like the cornerbacks. Now, Jimmy Smith sometimes has issues staying healthy, but when he's healthy, he's good, and I like him as a #1 corner in the NFL, but he must stay healthy. Unfortunately, Tavon Young is having some injury concerns right now. We'll see if he can play this season at all, but for right now, you do have some other guys in Brandon Carr, whom you signed from the Dallas Cowboys, and last year he had a bounce-back year. I expect him to be at least okay this year for the Ravens. And you also drafted Marlon Humphrey in the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft. He is coming out of Alabama. He is a press corner. He is a guy that is very good at sticking to wide receivers. He just needs to get his head around and get some interceptions because he wasn't able to do that much at Alabama. But he was a redshirt sophomore, so there's still a lot of potential left within Marlon Humphrey, and I'm a big Marlon Humphrey fan. He was one of my top 15 prospects in this NFL draft, and I think it's going to make an impact for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think this secondary will be very, very good, and they're really going to be a nice spine for the defensive unit and overall for the football team. Look at some weaknesses though for this football team. Let's start with their running backs, man. I hate this running back core in Baltimore. Now, it's not the worst in the league, but it's pretty close, okay? Terrance West, I do not like this guy. Barely 4 yards per carry last season, and he's been holding on for dear life in the NFL up until the point when the Ravens signed him, and then all of a sudden now he's a starting running back in the NFL. I mean, this guy was barely on the Tennessee Titans roster. He was about to be out of the NFL forever, and then the Ravens pick him up, and now he's a starting running back in the NFL. The guy is not impressive. He doesn't offer much dynamic play in his game. He's an okay receiving back, not great. Even as a runner, he's not very powerful. He's not very fast. He's just very blah. Now, behind him, you did sign Danny Woodhead. And okay, I'm on board with that. But the problem is, every other year, Danny Woodhead doesn't play. Now, the good thing is, this should be the year he plays because he didn't play last season. So if the trend continues, this will be the year he plays, and then next year will not be. But he's such an injury-prone running back at this point, that concerns me, but I think he's really going to help alleviate Joe Flacco a little bit. I felt that if he was available, the Ravens should have taken Christian McCaffrey, but he wasn't. The Panthers took him, but now you have Danny Woodhead, who to me would be a light version of Christian McCaffrey, which is a little shocking to say, but I think McCaffrey will be better than Woodhead now and beyond for the rest of time. But for now, Danny Woodhead will be a nice receiving back for you, and I think is really going to help alleviate the pressure for Joe Flacco. And he may end up playing more than Terrance West by season's end. I mean, it's tough to say because Woodhead is not that great of a runner, as we know. And now Kenneth Dixon, he just got injured. He's going to be out for the season. He tore his meniscus. So the running backs, come on, Ravens fans, they're just not very good. Like the days of Ray Rice, even though he's a woman beater, they're long gone. You miss Ray Rice. Honestly, that guy was a good running back for you. He would help you get to the playoffs every year. Now you're talking about Terrance West, Canada Dixon, who won't play, and Danny Woodhead. This is not a good running back core. Outside of those guys, I hate the tight ends. Dennis Pitt is gone. No one wants him. He's currently a free agent because he can't stay healthy. Now we're talking about Max Williams, Crockett Gilmore, and Ben Watson. Now, Ben Watson had a nice 2015 season for the New Orleans Saints, but he didn't play last year, and he's going to turn 37 in December. I don't care for Ben Watson. Max Williams, this guy could never stay healthy, but we keep talking about Max Williams and what he's going to do in this league, and Crockett Gilmore never does anything. Although he has a great name, he doesn't do anything, Crockett. So I don't trust these tight ends. I don't trust these running backs. Now, I could have went wide receiver, but I didn't go there saying it's a weakness. But I'm concerned. I'm also intrigued. They have Mike Wallace, who somehow had a very good season last year. I don't know how, because again, similar to Terrance West, he was doing nothing everywhere in the NFL, but the Ravens picked him up, and now he's doing something. But he's better than Terrance West, without a doubt. I question, though, will that trend continue? Was last season just an aberration? Because, again, this guy did nothing for the Dolphins. This guy did nothing after he left Pittsburgh back in, what was it, 2012? Ever since then, he's been almost nothing, did nothing for the Vikings. I mean, it's a real concern that maybe he's going to revert back to the Minnesota Vikings, Mike Wallace, or the Miami Dolphins, Mike Wallace. That concerns the hell out of me. Jeremy Maclin, why did the Chiefs get rid of this guy? Was it for cap space? Okay, that was a part of it. Maybe he's not very good anymore. That concerns me. Rashad Perriman, he can't catch the ball consistently heading into what is now his third NFL season. Now he missed his first season, second season, 500 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. That's not bad. But there's no guy here, I look at the receiving core, that I trust. Steve Smith, I used to trust, now he's gone. So the receiving core is a big question mark for me. The quarterback position, Joe Flacco. Look, I like Flacco. Last season wasn't good. Now I expect a bounce back year. Okay, they have a new offensive coordinator in here again, because that's what they do every year. Marty Morhinweg, he's now in here. This will be his second year as the Ravens offensive coordinator, and maybe he'll do something to help Joe Flacco, because last season it wasn't very good. 20 touchdowns to 15 interceptions doesn't impress me, but I expect a bounce back year. I expect him to be better, but the question is how much better with these running backs and these wide receivers. I look at some other positions, the defensive line. The Ravens traded away Timmy Jernigan. I don't know why. There's a bunch of guys that I'm intrigued by, like Chris Wormley, Bronson Kafusi. If he plays down there, he could play a little linebacker as well. Also, some other guys that they drafted in recent years could step up and make an impact, but I'm questioning the defensive line right now. You also get the linebackers. They lost Zachary Orr to retirement. CJ Mosley, we love. Terrell Suggs, we love him too, but man, that guy's getting old. Zadarius Smith, Shea McClellan, these guys aren't impressive, but you drafted Tyus Bowser and Tim Williams in the 2017 NFL Draft. These guys are going to make an impact, but the question is, how much of an impact will they make early? Alright, so we look at the statistical projections that I have for this football team. Joe Flacco, 4,100 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. So more touchdowns and less interceptions than he had last season, but still not very impressive. Still not top 10 quarterback play from Joe Flacco. I don't think we're ever going to get that out of Joe Flacco. Maybe later on in his career, maybe he'll end up being like Carson Palmer, but I don't see it quite yet. Now, Terrance West, I struggled with this. I feel the Ravens are going to make a move preseason or midseason to get a running back in here. That's what I truly feel. Now, who, I really can't tell you. I can't tell you who the hell it's going to be, but I feel like someone is going to come into Baltimore and take this job away from Terrance West, similar to how Terrance West came into Baltimore and took the job away from whoever preceded him. So I have him scheduled for 200 carries and 800 yards. I feel like somebody, and I can't tell you who, I feel like somebody's going to come into this Ravens running back core and take carries away. But again, I'm not sure who the hell or who it's going to be. And I also have him for 4 touchdowns. Wide receiver Mike Wallace. We'll see. I mean, he's still going to lead the receiving core to me most likely. I know they're saying Rashad Perriman is going to break out and Jeremy Maclin is going to have a big role, but I feel like Flacco and Wallace now have trust that he doesn't have with the other wide receivers. So I still have Wallace leading the pack, but only with 900 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. We'll see who really leads the pack, but right now I have it being Mike Wallace. All right, some bold predictions for this Ravens season. The Ravens start out 3-1. They go at Cincinnati versus Cleveland, at Jacksonville, and versus Pittsburgh. They always seem to beat Pittsburgh at least once, so probably early in the year. And then to me, they'll either beat Jacksonville or Cincinnati, and they'll definitely beat Cleveland, at least in Baltimore. So they start 3-1. Bold prediction number 1. Bold prediction number 2, I have Marty Morhinweg getting fired by season's end. This may be not too bold for some of you, but to me this is kind of bold. And another offensive coordinator in Baltimore will be fired, Marty Morhinweg. I mean, come on, the name says it enough. This guy has not been doing much in the NFL in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I think he's going to be fired yet again. I don't think anyone's going to miss him. Bold prediction number 3, Marlon Humphrey balls out as a rookie. I think he's going to steal the starting job from Brandon Carr and or Jimmy Smith, and maybe even end up being their #1 corner by season's end and just be a very, very good rookie cornerback. I love me some Marlon Humphrey. We look at the schedule for the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they're in the AFC North, of course, and I expect the Ravens to go 4-2 in this division, but that's what I expect. It would not shock me if the Browns upset the Ravens once. They came very close last year, and I want to say what was the Week 2 game, 25-20, the Ravens won, but they had to come back to do it. That concerns me, but I expect the Ravens to still sweep the Browns and split with the Bengals and Steelers, and that one's almost etched in stone, right? The Ravens at best will only split with those teams unless if it's the rare year where one of those teams stink, and even then, a split is likely between the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers. They all like to split with one another. Outside of the AFC North, the Ravens also go up against the NFC North, and this will be a little tough to me because right now the Packers are clearly better than the Ravens to me, whereas the Lions and the Vikings are right at the Ravens level. So it's going to be tough to me. You can go 1-3, you can go 3-1, but to me, anywhere between there, not 4-0, not 0-4, 1-3 to 3-1 in the NFC North. Outside of that, you guys also go up against the AFC South, and again, I think you're going to have troubles there. The good news is I think now you have 3 teams that are about on your level in the Titans, the Texans, and the Colts. But even the Jaguars are scary to me because to me, they're just under you. You're over them, but just barely. So this division could go in any directions. I'll say again, anywhere from 1-3 to 3-1 against the AFC South. And you guys also go up against 2 teams that finished concurrently in the AFC West and in the AFC East. And that would be the Miami Dolphins, and that would be the Oakland Raiders. Now you go to Oakland and you host Miami. I think you'll split. I think you lose in Oakland and you beat Miami. So with that said, let's go ahead and give you my win-loss predictions for this team. For me, the best case scenario is 10-6. This defense could be really, really good. They won't have a big-time pass rusher, and their defensive line won't be great, but this secondary could be locked down, and we could have a top 5 defense in Baltimore. But when we look at the offensive side of things, at best, we're going to have average positional value at quarterback. Joe Flacco, again, I like him, but you're not going to get top 10 quarterback production out of Joe Flacco. At the running back position, at best, you're not even going to get average positional value. Like, you're going to get maybe 20th in the league in terms of positional value at the running back position. Your running backs just will not be good. Their value will not be average relative to the rest of the NFL. Wide receivers, same story. We're not going to get average positional value out of our wide receivers, and we're definitely not going to get that out of the tight ends. So we're talking about below average to, at best, average positional value at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And that limits your upside. Even when the Broncos went 12-4 because of their defense a couple years ago, they had great positional value at wide receiver, as they had Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. The Ravens can't be that. Best case scenario, 10-6. Worst case scenario, to me, 6-10. The defense could still be really good, but not top 5, and your offense just stinks. Marty Morhinweg gets fired, as I predict, and it's just awful and terrible in Baltimore. Now, I think John Harbaugh would survive that, but we'd have to see, because this would be consecutive seasons now where he missed the playoffs, and that would be very interesting to me. My prediction is 8-8, and this is the same record you had last year. Again, I just cannot go all in on this team when you're telling me we're going to have below average to, at best, at best, average positional value at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And that's at best average. You'll be lucky if your tight ends are outputting the average production for the position. You just won't even have it. Okay, so it really concerns the hell out of me, and because of that, I can't buy into the Ravens. Some defensive teams can get to the playoffs, like last year the Texans won the AFC South, but they had a very good wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, and they had at least an average running back in Lamar Miller. I don't see that in Baltimore, and that concerns the hell out of me. I have this team going 8-8, and I think you will be in the playoff mix for most of the year, but you just won't make it. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Baltimore Ravens. Again, make sure to head over to sportsfanentertainment.com for the article previewing the Baltimore Ravens 2017-18 season. Again, I could easily be wrong on this, and if I am, feel free to subscribe and to tell me how wrong I am throughout the season, as I'll be talking about the Ravens throughout this entire 2017-18 NFL season. I'll be back tomorrow to preview the Buffalo Bills. Check out SFE and all of our social media links down in the description box below. And until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. I'm out. See you all later.